forgotten the emergency broadcast salute episode, in a nutshell, the first form of emergency broadcasting in the U.S. came by way of the CONELRAD system, which started in 1951 as a means of quickly and safely notifying the public in the event of a foreign attack on U.S. soil. By 1963, CONELRAD gave way to the emergency broadcast system, which ultimately came to double as a means of notifying the public of local emergencies, read weather events, and potential biohazards. On October 1st, 1970, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, was established. The same day, the Weather Bureau was redubbed the National Weather Service, NOAA being a mouthpiece of sorts for the National Weather Service. While I can't find anywhere near an exact date, I think it's safe to say that TV and radio stations began relaying these weather warnings almost immediately. The oldest off-air clip I've been able to find of one of these aired on Chicago's WMAQ on April 12, 1972. And I have no idea if this particular weather notice was relayed from the Weather Service or if it was entirely the station.
Recently, I charged the line. That lady said that she just got an outdoor glass. What? She wasn't wearing glasses.
As the 70s gave way to the 80s, TV stations more or less streamlined their homebrew web alerts, which usually fell into one of four categories. You've got the sleek, high-tech warning. The plain, boring old station slide.
I'm meteorologist Bill Tomorrow. The National Severe Storms Forecast Center in Kansas City, Missouri has issued a tornado watch.
Steve, what the hell does this have to do with weather?
7:30 tonight for DuPage County in Illinois. The public reported a total cloud 3 miles west of Geneva, Illinois, in eastern.
Kansas so hip it's horribly unhip.
WHAS-TV now interrupts this program for an important announcement from the Emergency Public Information Service.
As you're seeing here, by the 80s, TV and radio stations were occasionally using the emergency broadcast system to report weather events, or accurately relayed weather events, which, while it was a bit time-consuming, it got the job done. And of course, once the EBS was replaced with the Emergency Alert System, or EAS, in 1987, it seems like every single weather event, no matter how big or small, was/still is deemed cause for the EAS to be activated, complete with a nice long wait for the bulletin, usually much longer than the old EBS. And the EAS alerts usually just get prematurely cut off anyway. I'm not sure.
Cottonwood Village, Sheridan, Arapahoe Park, and Buckley Air Force Base. This expansion supersedes the previous warning that was in effect for western Arapahoe County only. Precautionary preparedness actions. Excessive runoff from heavy rainfall will cause flooding of small creeks and streams, urban areas, highways, streets, and underpasses, as well as other drainage areas and low-lying spots. Turn around. Don't drown when encountering flooded roads. Most
Getting back to my little history lesson, some stations would cut to a static shot of a radar screen in lieu of any formal graphic. To this I say, thankfully, radar technology has improved quite a bit since the 70s and 80s, because I know I would have been so lost looking at the screen.
Indicated by that strong echo to the southeast corner of the center of the screen. That familiar 6-hook now developing off the bottom of that tornado, thunderstorm rather. The track apparently is taking it from northeastern Warren County into southeastern Montgomery County into central Greene
Of course, better than any slide or computer animation were, and still are, the stations that go into wall-to-wall coverage mode. I admit, these broadcasts are a dirty little guilty pleasure of mine. It's like a soap opera that's actually interesting. And yes, I like watching them until the bitter, usually anticlimactic end. Now, the one that you're seeing here is one I captured sometime just before 1 a.m. on June 7th of 2012. 3 years to the day earlier, beautiful downtown Aurora, home of Archive HQ, was hit by a tornado. And perhaps unsurprisingly, nobody could tell the difference afterwards.
$5 Your Way meal. It's here to make your choice easy and so tasty. Go straight to the Double Whopper Junior with piping hot small fries, 4-piece crispy nuggets, and small cheese. Can you believe you get all this for only $5? The $5 Your Way meal, only at Burger King.
Excuse me while I take a little stroll, well, maybe not so little, more like the rest of the episode, stroll down memory lane. Now, when I was a kid, it seemed like I was always getting caught up in some weird weather event. I mean, for example, every year my family would go and visit some of our relatives who lived out on the wide open prairie. And we'd be there for a week, and like clockwork, every year, one night out of that, there'd be some storm brewing outside. It'd be 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and we'd have the TV on, and the TV would get interrupted with what was most definitely not the EBS. Now, I've come to learn since emergency broadcast salutes, remember that one, that these are what is known as local access alerts. And this is when the police department is given the ability to override a cable system, which in retrospect may have actually been a tad more efficient than the EBS. This may look familiar to some of our more experienced viewers.
This is the Shasta City Police Department. We are under a tornado warning. Please take cover. Please take cover. We are under a tornado warning. A tornado has been spotted by Jackson.
Not something you necessarily want to show to a cowardly child with an overactive imagination. Anyway, sort of contradicting that, in 1994, I truly learned the meaning of the word synchronicity. And I'll never forget it. I was sitting in my room. It was mid-afternoon. It was really, really dark outside. And I was watching, don't ask how I remember this, a rerun of The Wonder Years on my TV. And my mom comes blazing into my room, demands that I get my butt to the basement now. And for once I was not scared. I grumbled, got up, grabbed my cheap little $4 or $5 portable AM/FM radio, because that's what you were supposed to do, and started heading down to the basement. And on my way down, I saw my dad and older brother staring out the back window, just watching the skies, and being a little peeved that I couldn't join the adults. But anyway, I don't remember any civil defense sirens going off, and I don't remember seeing anything on TV, obviously, before or after. But I do remember hearing a weather warning on the radio, and I will never forget the song that was playing and the point at which it was cut into. And indeed, I'm actually going to chance it, and I'm going to play you a little recreation of this, complete with just a little teeny snippet of this song, more just out of nostalgia than anything else. I know I get nostalgic over very weird things, but enjoy.
We interrupt this program for a special broadcast from the Emergency Broadcast System. Special information will follow this tone. We have interrupted this program because of a weather emergency involving a tornado.
You know, maybe it was the wind beneath my wings. I'm getting a little hazy in my old age. I do remember it was Bette Midler. I don't remember that much. And I remember that it took forever to get to the weather warning, and apparently during that time, a nice big chunk of farmland about 5 miles east of us got wiped out. Did I mention we kind of lived right on the edge of civilization? Anyway, most commonly what I caught growing up were the weather crawls, and they're still around and they're still pretty damn common. Now, I did manage to catch a pretty fair amount of these on tape as a kid, but taped over them a few years later. Or so I thought. Ladies and gentlemen, while doing my research for this episode, I actually managed to unearth the apparent sole survivor of my childhood VHS weather warning stash.
In another California murder case, which has yet to go to trial, computer enhancement of video surveillance footage is again playing a major role. On December 27, 1993, a police officer at Manhattan Beach took his 12-year-old nephew out with him on patrol as part of a school project. At around 11 p.m.,